Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is the last chapter of this subject, which is known as packaging and deployment of enterprise applications. So let's look at the outline of this chapter. The first one is packaging components. Number two, packaging Java EE application, which involve EJB modules and web modules. So number three is deployment descriptors, and number four, deployment tools, right? So let's start. All right, so a Java EE application is packaged into one or more standard units for the deployment to any Java EE platform. For what? For so to make sure the project that you have developed may comply to any platform and can be used in any standard format. Okay, so each of the unit may contain a functional component or more than one functional component, such as an enterprise bin, web page, servlet or applet, and optional deployment descriptor, which describes its content. Okay, so once the Java EE unit has been produced, so actually it is ready to be deployed. So the deployment typically involves using a platform deployment tool. Why it is involve the platform's deployment tool? It will specify the location specific information such as a list of local users who can access the project or system and the name of the local database that being used during the development phase. Okay, so once the project has been deployed on a local platform, the application is ready to be executed. Okay, so let's look at the packaging components. Okay, a properly packaged application runs in one or more of the following deployment modes. Okay, either uh, can be run as a standalone application using the JRE or as a self-contained application using a private copy of JRE, or can be run in the as a Java web start application using the system JRE, or embedded in a web page using the system JRE. Okay. So as you can see here, this is uh, several files or component, okay, that being packed in during the packaging process. Okay, first one is the web tier.war. What does the file that included in this package? So contains Java servlet, JSP files, HTML, and many more files. Okay, which is involved web application deployment descriptor. And second one is package Java EE app client.jar. Okay, and then contains of Java class and Java application client deployment descriptor. Number three is the resource adapter .raw file, consists of Java interfaces, classes, libraries, and other documentation, and the resource adapter deployment descriptor. And the last one, the ejb.jar file or package, consists of class files for enterprise bins and EJB deployment descriptor. Okay, so let's look at one by one the jars file. So jars is known also as Java archives. Okay, are simple Java archive files are used to package application files together, such as classes, images, and so on, and then can be included in web archives named as WARs and enterprise archive named as EARs. Okay, and then jars can be included in library path. Okay, right. So web archive or also known as WARs. What does the files that include in this package? Okay, actually is a specialized archive for packaging Java EE compliant web application. Okay, so in Java Enterprise Development, WAR, or also known as Web Archive, is the standard container file format for packaging Java EE application as a single deployable unit, which means all the files that you have created in your project will be packaged into a single deployable unit. So WAR files, okay, or container can be deployed on Java EE compliant application servers such as Tomcat, JBoss, and Glassfish. Okay, WARs have a fixed directory structure, as you can see in the given figure right up there, and then have a deployment descriptor for the web application as well. As you can see, the WARs consist of all the files that contain in the web INF folder. Okay, and then it consists of web.xml, all the classes, okay, and then also the library. Okay, these files will be packaged into WARs, right? Okay, so let's look at the EJB jars. EJB jars are specialized jars for packaging the EJBs. Okay, it has a fixed directory structure and have a deployment descriptor for the EJB component. So EJB jars consist of EJB files only. Okay, then as you can see there, if you have a EJB, so all the file that contain inside the EJB folder will be packaged or packed into EJB jars, right? Okay, so outcome of Java packaging tools. So by default, Java packaging tools produce a package that includes everything needed to provide a good user experience for various user environments, including the following functions. One, to ensure that the required JRE is installed. Two, automatically download missing dependencies or offer to install them as needed. 3. To provide visual feedback to the user while the application is loaded. And 4. To show descriptive error messages. Okay. Java application package working environment. So Java application packages work in the following execution environment without requiring modification. So what are the environment? The first one is launch from the command line using the Java launcher or by using double click the Java or double click the self-contained application launcher, and fourth, embed the application in a web page. So optionally, Java packaging tools can produce self-contained application packages that simplify redistribution by avoiding dependencies on external software. Okay, so base application package. The Java application package that is generated by default includes the following item, which means when you pack your project, so what are the default files or module or component that include inside the package? The first one is the executable application Java, which contains application code and resources and can be launched by double clicking the file. Number 2, additional application jar and resource file. 3, deployment descriptor for the web deployment, which is kept in the JNLP file, and HTML file that contains sample JavaScript code to embed and launch Java content from a web page. So example of a package for web deployments you can see at the figure, okay, given figure. So let's say you have the HTML file, the jar file, the JNLP, okay, all these files will be packed together. right, in one package. Okay, so overview of packaging task. So how the tools, okay, environment tools make a packaging process or do the packaging process. The Java Packager 2 added several steps to build the process, which simplify the packaging of your Java application. So the Java Packager tools is required to make the packaging task. So as you can see there, if you have the application, inside your application consists of source code, the CSS, and other resources such as images or music or sound, or database maybe, okay? And then all this one need to convert to the binary and then do some processes, compile the code, then one jar package will be created. Okay, so same as the preloader, the additional resources, the web page template, and so on also will be packed into one package. Okay, then after that, this package, okay, will be deployed into a self-contained application which can be executed by the user either in a format exe or DMG, or can be embedded in the web page or many more. Okay, all right. So the additional steps in the process are marked with the colored arrows. As you can see there, the colored arrow. Okay, you can read further the explanation of each component in the table. Okay, so what are the function of each component, such as the create the jar, sign the jar file, run the deploy task. Okay, right. What else? Okay, so let's move to the next one is Java packaging tools. So the recommended way to package Java application is use a collection of n tasks, or known as n-java-fx.jar, which are provided in the with the JRE. Okay, so most of the other popular IDEs can easily use custom and build script. So other popular build framework, for example, Maven or Gradle, support integration with N. The JRE includes a command line packaging utility, Java Packager, which can be used for simple packaging tasks. So what is meant by Java Packager? It is a convenient utility and does not provide as much flexibility or as many options as N task. Okay, so N task is one of the Java packaging tools. Okay. All right, steps to accomplish the build using various packaging tools. Okay, such as you have one task, for example, convert any CSS files to binary format. So you use the end task, which has the Java packaging library. It will convert to FX CSS to bin, which is converting the CSS file into the binary format. Okay, the Java Packager 2 command that can be used is create VSS, such as that. Okay, so other than that, such as create a jar archive, find a jar archive as one binary object, assemble application package for deployment has their own tool command, okay, which can be referred in the table given. Okay, so Java package also provides a make all macro command to create a complete application package for simple application, right? Okay, so this is an illustration on how to make the deployment. Okay, so deployment actually is a term used for the process of installing a web application, either a third-party WAR or your own custom web application into the server, which means you have developed your own web project by using Java technology. So you want to install into your server, it is named as deployment. development. So web application deployment may be accomplished in a number of ways within the server. There are many ways or option or alternative that you can use to deploy your application into the server. Okay. So there are 5 steps of deployment process. The first one is you need to make a packaging process. Package code as Java EE application or modules. You need to package all the modules, the components, okay, into one package, and then selecting a parent application. Number two, uh, number three, binding the web application to a website. Okay, you have when you already pack your application into one package. So you choose a parent application and then you bind it into the web application. Okay, and then number four, creating and applying a deployment plan. All right, making XML maybe. Okay, right into the XML file. And last one is deploying the application or module, right? So what is meant by EARS files? So EARS are specialized archive for packaging Java EE compliant enterprise application for deployments. Mean when we want to make a deployment, we need the EARS. Have a deployment descriptor. EARS may have web modules. EARS may have EJB modules and also may have client modules. Okay, so this is an example of EAR file structure for Java EE application. So what does EARS may contain? So these are the files that might consist or contain in the EAR. Okay, so deployment containers. So a deployment module is a packaging structure for components that ultimately execute in a runtime container. So when you make a deployment module consists of maybe an EJB, a web, and also the application container. Okay, so this is the illustration, the EJB deployment process. Okay, so you have the home interface, the remote interface, the B class and other classes. So then you make a deployment. When you make a deployment, a jar by using jar command or tools. So then EJB jar will be created, and then this EJB jar, okay, will be passed to the deployment tools or command to make a deployment. Okay, so then it goes to the deploy EJB in the server. So after you have complete the deployment process by using the commands, and then the EJB jar has been created, so you need to put it into the server. So you need to use the deployment tools or command. Okay. All right, so what is meant by deployment descriptor? It is an added to the application archive in the meta INF directory relative to the archive root. So if you notice, when you create an application by using Eclipse, so there is one folder named meta INF. It is used to customize application specific configuration and specify deployment information. Okay, so deployment descriptor also merge with deployment plans if provided. Okay. All right. So what is meant by deployment plans? It used to create a client-side grouping of application configuration data needed to deploy the application to a Java EE container. It is created when you deploy the application. So the deployment plans actually will be created when we deploy our application, and then it is saved in the file that can be retrieved, edited, and reused. Okay. So what is meant by deployment tools? So the function of deployment tool is to ease the task of the developers and are the best as well as the most used tool. So basically developers will use deployment tools to deploy their application. So there are 5 highly recommended open source tools that can be used to deploy our project. So such as Jenkins, TeamCity, CA Release Automation, Apache Maven, and Travis CI, right? Okay, so you may use any one of these tools, okay, based on the description given here. Okay, the simplest tools that can be used and that we can apply to deploy our application is by using Apache Maven. Okay, because it is an XML based build tool with deployment capabilities provided through its plugin architecture. Okay, just using plugin. All right. Okay, packaging Java EE application. So this one involves EJV modules and also web module. Packaging and deploying the entity bin application example. So let's look at the example. Okay, in this case study, it wants to deploy Eclipse Java Web Dynamic project on Amazon EC2. So I found this case study in the internet. Okay, so you can Google this case study by using the given link. Okay, so this link give you the option or the process or steps on how to make the deployment. So actually there are 4 basic steps to be followed. Okay, so first of all we need to set up the server Apache Tomcat, and then export our web application WAR file that we have produced before. And then after we have made a WAR file, we need to deploy the WAR file into our server. Then we need to test our web application that we have installed it into our server, whether it can be accessed or not. So as simple as that. Okay. So you also can try to deploy your web app, okay, by following this example. So first of all, you go to your project, okay, at the left pane in the project explorer, such as in this example, it go to MVC tutorial and then right click to the project, then you choose export. And then at the export, you choose the option WAR file. So in this case, we want to create a WAR file first. Why we need to create a WAR file? Because we want to pack all the files, the module that include in our application to become one package. Then step number two, please choose the directory where to save your WAR file. Okay, so in this case, save into your Tomcat server folder. Okay, in the web apps folder. Okay, and then click finish. Then you can check at your web apps folder in the Apache Tomcat folder. Okay, your server. The WAR file has been created. Okay, so for example, in this case, MVC tutorial.war. All right. So then to test our application whether it can be accessed or not, so you start your server and then test your WAR file, type the URL in the browser. Okay, whether it can be accessed or not. Okay. Thank you.